إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فإن خير الحديث كلام الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. The title of this video is Rat Worshippers Against Gaza. Rat worshippers against Gaza. They call it Gaza. Okay, it's Gaza. If you tell a normal human being, or most of them, that you think of him as being a rat worshipper, most of them will be feeling and telling you that this is an insult. They wouldn't like it. If you say to a Hindu, rat worshipper, he'll say, thank you very much. I appreciate it. This is because in the Hindu religion, they worship a lot of things, including animals. And when people think of Hinduism, they think usually of cows and what the cow produces. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. And about, the animals that they portray. I didn't know until recently that actually the elephant is more established as a god for the Hindus on the list of gods. The Hindus worship, for example, white elephant as compared to green elephant or black elephant, I don't know, white elephant, cow, eagle, swan, peacock, tiger or lion, you pick which one they worship by looking at their articles and books. So you have tiger or lion or both. Bull. There is another word that usually comes after bull. I'm not going to say it here. Mouse. So mouse is one of the gods of the Hindus. A few years ago, I saw a video about the mouse or mice temple in India. The caretakers of that temple, the caretakers are taking care of the gods by feeding them. Tens of thousands of rats and mice. So they're feeding the gods instead of the gods, if there is any, even in their mind, feeding them, because there's only one ilah. There is no ilah, there is no deity worthy of worship except Allah alone, and He's the one who provides. But even if they believe in multiple gods, I mean, what are you thinking about your gods? They need to be protected from slaughtering, like in the case of the cow, and they need to be fed. Anyway, so I saw that disgusting video. Now, we know about what's going on in Gaza, about the Holocaust that has continued on the Palestinian people for more than 100 years now. It's just the latest incident that portrays to the world the viciousness and brutality of the Jews and the hypocrisy of the West. The killing of tens of thousands and more than 10,000 at a minimum, and the injuring of tens of thousands, more than 20,000 at a minimum, displacement of hundreds of thousands, close to 1 million of Gaza people who were told by the kind, soft-hearted Jews, we know that your area is such a small land with 2 million people on it, 5 miles, 25 miles would go out of your homes to a safe area. And they're bombing everywhere in Gaza. So for someone who has conscience, humanity, looking at the pictures, the videos, the reports that are coming from Gaza, the destruction, the awful destruction, they dropped what some experts say 2 nuclear bombs worth of bombs. And they finished the bombs quickly, came rushing to Biden, help us, we need more money, more weapons. So what does this have to do with rat worshippers? The Hindus kill more Muslims every year than even the Jews in India. The great oppression, persecution, and killing of Muslims that's happening every single year in India by the Hindus. So what's their connection to Gaza? The great country, Great Britain, appointed a Hindu Indian as their prime minister. Of course, he wasn't elected. It's just the parties in the parliament. The parliament is where corruption prevails, where corruption starts. So between them, they went through a number of lousy prime ministers, like Theresa May. Was it June? May. Boris Trump Johnson, with the hair, crazy hair and crazy personality. Then another woman, and they found that they don't have enough conservatives to keep putting them there, so they wanted to, they say, hit a stone and scare many birds, liberal birds, by choosing a Hindu for a prime minister. Now, as a prime minister, especially someone who wasn't elected by the British people, who are, without a doubt, one of the most racist communities on the face of the earth. They started this entire racism in North America, Canada, included Australia, and the way they treated Muslims wherever they went, it's them, the Brits. So they, between them, the conservatives, so-called conservatives, chose this prime minister, and hitting 2 birds with 1 stone. Number one, they would like to tell the world, look, I mean, we're so advanced, we're so not racist. Look, our prime minister is a Hindu, Indian. And secondly, the second bird is he will not have the power to change any essential aspects of the strategic aims and goals of the British Empire. That's the British Empire now. He's not going to be able to change anything, because it's not up to him. It's up to the people who have the real power in Britain, who make changes to the strategic, long-term aims and goals of the British policies inside the country and outside. But he can make decisions about day-to-day activities, decisions, and some other issues. But it's not going to change the structure of the British community with regards to, not giving respect to people who are not white. I'm just putting it bluntly here. So, what's the connection between right worshippers, including the current Prime Minister of Britain, and Gaza? One of the strongest condemnations of what Hamas did, or as the Jews call it, Hamas. What Hamas did came from the Prime Minister of Britain. Really? One of the strongest, I can't say heartfelt, because I doubt it's coming from his heart. The strongest and really loudest condemnation of Hamas came from the Prime Minister of Britain. Of all the countries of the world, two countries come to my mind, and that's one of them for the next video, Allah willing. But number one is the one I'm talking about here. With regards to Britain, Britain has the least right, and I'm saying right just as a figure of speech, to talk about Palestine. They started the conflict. The people in the West are really funny in their hypocrisy. Who started the Palestinian conflict? It's the Brits. The 2nd of November 1917, the foreign minister of Great Britain, it was great during that time compared to today, gave a promise to the Jewish people to establish a homeland for them in Palestine. And since then, the Palestinians have been on the receiving end of the brutality of the British, who when they left, they made sure that the Jews had enough weapons to defeat the Palestinians on their own homeland. They never owned Palestine, the British, but just gave it up, with millions of people living there. They didn't care. And the violence that was started by the Jewish gangs for decades before Britain left was continuing, increasing and increasing. When the Brits felt that the Jews have enough weapons, they left. They left it in the hands of the Jews. They started the conflict. They started all this destruction and killing of the Palestinians on their own homeland. They brought herds of people who never had any connection to Palestine, claiming that this is their land, and like it is in the Old Testament, a promise to Abraham. See, here is Abraham's signature. He gave us the land. All the brutality. They drove tens of thousands of Palestinians in the beginning out of their homes because people were afraid for their safety. They were killing, massacring, including Deir Yassin. I mentioned it before. And kicking the people out. They took over 1967, another episode of the Jewish Holocaust in Palestine started with the occupation of Gaza, the Golan Heights, and of course the West Bank. The West Bank now is receiving great evil brutality from the settlers. They just go to land they don't earn, they don't own, but they don't earn without violence and killing the people. They just go to people's homes, burn them down, kill the people, shoot them. They shot so many Palestinians just in the past few weeks and killed them and drove them out of their homes. Tens of thousands of Palestinians had to really either be very careful going out so they don't get shot by these criminals, because the Palestinians don't have weapons. And in the occupied territory that is recognized as being occupied by the entire world, including the United States of America, they have no weapons. They can't defend themselves. But the settlers, the thieves who come from areas Allah knows where from, and claim to be Jewish, and come and kill them, literally, and burn down their homes, cut their olive trees. So another episode of the Jewish Holocaust in Palestine started 1967 until today. So many wars and little wars started by the Jews against the Palestinians and the Syrians and the Lebanese and the Jordanians, especially in 1967, and the Egyptians until 1973. So many wars or little wars against the Palestinians that has or have killed tens of thousands of Palestinians who don't have weapons as compared to what the West fanatically gives the Jews every year. Tens and tens of billions of dollars support, people, intelligence, technology. I mean, any way you look at it, the West is just feeling, that I should give Israel more and more and more and more. No question about what happened to the money we already gave them and the weapons, because they're using them, It's a good cause to kill civilians in the thousands within the last 20 days in Gaza. It's a good cause. But for Britain, of all the countries of the world, Britain, to have a prime minister who's a Hindu, talk about Hamas, condemning Hamas for what happened. You started the conflict. You did. All the misery that happened to the Palestinians, you started that. You have no right to talk about Hamas or about any other topic with regards to the Arab area, especially Palestine, a land that never belonged to you or to the Jews, but you promised it to the Jews, and we are suffering. The Palestinians have been suffering from the beginning, 105 years until now, suffering because of these criminals who gave their land to people who never had any ties to that land. So what can I say? Right worshippers, there is a combination here of the natural hatred for Islam and Muslims that is found among the Hindus, and the fact that the person who is a Hindu is the prime minister of the country that started the entire conflict. They're condemning Hamas. They should condemn themselves for what they did and feel remorse, because everyone will have an end to their life, and they will go to meet the Maker, the one and only Maker. And, and then everyone will have to defend themselves and bring excuses for what they've done in this life, and everybody will be judged. Not by Jesus, not by Paul, but by Allah, the creator of everything and everyone. Until then, the British can, claim, say things, civilization, all that stuff, all that garbage. They started the conflict. The world needs to condemn the British. If they speak any sentence with Palestine in it without apologizing to the Palestinians, to the devastation that happened to them, then we need to tell them, shut up. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help our brothers and sisters in Palestine against one of the most brutal occupations of all time, the Jews and the West, who are helping them survive upon the killing of Palestinians and driving them out of their lands. And Allah is the supreme.